things have changed and not for the better. I'm hoping that he doesn't withdraw. No amount of money would make sense for their family to move. I've never seen this happen before in my life. It is absolutely mind-boggling. Good afternoon and welcome to another behind the scenes video of what I do every single week as a recruiter at my recruiting agency in predominantly the technology industry. Coming off of a high from having an insane September, was able to adequately rest and recharge over the weekend, and now I'm feeling great to not just make October great, but the Q4, last quarter of the year. So this is the perfect time to put down your goals for this week, this month, and the next 90 days to see how you can set yourself up for an amazing 2022. Right now it is Tuesday, almost 1 p.m. Had a great Monday. Yesterday I was really heads down and focused on sourcing program managers, product managers, HR, and software engineers. We also had about 7 interviews yesterday, from HR all the way to product management to engineering, and majority of them went pretty well, which is great. As of today, have about 9 candidate calls, have 2 more to do, and about 4 interviews. One of them already happened, went great, got 3 more. We got a director of facilities, we got a product designer, and we also got an engineer. As of the rest of the outlook for the week, everything is looking pretty well. I'm really focused on finishing this half of the day, really sourcing and hitting product management hard for my fintech, my e-commerce clients. Depending on how the rest of the week goes and how the pipeline goes, I will allocate the rest of my time to focus on specific positions. Recruiting in Q4 is typically one of the busiest times of the year, but just seeing how this year went, especially even after last year, every company is hiring like crazy and being very, very aggressive. But we all know it's a talent market, so finding the right talent is hard. And when you do, they're always talking to a couple other companies. So to be able to find candidates and then walk them through the process and then to give them an offer is super competitive, but it makes it fun and stressful at the same time. Other than that, I'm gonna be focused on product managers later today and really, really excited for the outlook of this week and making a good one and take you along for the ride. So if you are as excited as I am for Q4 and making this a great day and a great week, please consider liking, subscribing, clicking that bell. Really means a lot and gives us all the energy to work as hard as we can, the best way we can, to do really, really well and produce the best way. So really appreciate it, and let's get started for the week. All right, so if you've been watching, you would know that we're also working with this incredible clean energy company, which we were initially really excited to work with because they were able to be flexible and accommodating and really make this the best recruiting experience for us as possible. Just as an example, founders are willing to be very accessible, responsive, willing to pay for premiums if needed, willing to make this fully remote. And then if you saw from the last video, things have changed and not for the better. They decided to change their decision on remote and really pushing us to now find people to relocate to New York. The problem is most of the people that they want are not in New York. And if anyone's looking for any job right now, it's to have a hybrid or remote capability. And to make things worse, the people that we spoke with last week, they're in Colorado, they're in Tennessee, they're in California. A lot of them have families. They don't want to move all the way to New York City, a city that is known to have a significant higher cost of living, and people want to just have more space and get out of the city altogether. So that in itself became a challenge. But just to kind of add another challenge on top of that, we just heard back that they really liked the candidate they spoke with last week. He needed the company to sponsor visas. When we first worked with this company, they said visa transfers, visa sponsorships would be no issue at all. And whatever cost that they would have to do to process the visa, they'd be able to do. We just unfortunately heard that a candidate that they're really excited about, out of all the engineers that we sent them, this guy was the #1 top choice. And everything was looking good to proceed further for an offer. We heard that the founder heard back from their immigration lawyers, and it turns out that the specific visa is not only much more expensive than they initially expected or assumed, but it's also going to take a lot longer than they thought to process it. And as a result, they're going to reject the candidate, which is so frustrating because here I am just trying to adapt as much as possible to the changing criterias. And the ones that are the biggest, from sponsoring visas to reload, they change their minds on both of them, which makes me think that if they're able to change their mind on these, they're probably going to be able to change their mind on other things. So what started out as potentially, you know, a match made in heaven, and I was really excited to work with these guys, even though that they're looking for chemical, propulsion, thermal engineers. It's becoming a lot more difficult than I initially imagined, and just to even do one deal would be very, very difficult. Thankfully, we still have a couple more candidates alive in the process, but I'm concerned about the pipeline and the future status of the pipeline if we're applying all these restrictions on it. So I'm a little bit worried right now moving forward, but this just goes to show that as a recruiter, we are essentially the middleman between people that are hiring, people looking for jobs, and things change constantly. And no matter how well or how smooth the process might be going, anything can happen, so you always have to be ready. You always have to take the punches, be willing to roll with it, and just control your frustrations, control your anger at the moment, let it process, and just stand back up and try to find a solution and try to make any placements happen. This happens all the time, especially more with smaller companies, with smaller founders. Typically, the bigger the company gets, the more process and structure, and just even the more experience that they have in terms of honing the interview process and what they're looking for. But you know, for first-time founders, a lot of things can happen and a lot of things can change. And the only reason why we're engaged with this client is they came highly recommended. And also, I think clean energy is really cool. But losing many candidates, losing many potential offers because of them reneging on their offer, reneging on the reload, and now this visa situation. So it doesn't leave us with too many candidates that are live. I might have to make another hit later in the week to really strengthen the pipeline, but oh man, it's just surprise after surprise after surprise with this company, and not the best way. But shake it off and keep going, and we'll see what we can do. The past couple weeks, I've been getting a couple people reach out to me and asking me to really elaborate on how recruiters get paid. If you haven't seen my previous video, make sure you go check it out because I touch upon this. But to maybe elaborate on my personal situation and what we usually do, again, we are contingency recruiters predominantly, meaning that we don't charge an upfront fee or retaining fee per month. We get paid once a successful placement has been done, and how that's calculated is it's typically a percentage of a candidate's annual salary. The percentage can vary depending on what industry you're in. I've seen something as low as 15% all the way to high as 30-40%. Typically, we stay in like the 15 to 25%, with most of the time it's revolving probably closer to 18 to 20. Typically with smaller companies that are more cash constricted, you know, we're open to being a little bit flexible in the percentage for the first couple positions at the beginning to really show new companies, you know, what value we're able to provide. And once they grow, get more funding, then we can kind of increase the percentage up. Once we engage with the candidate though, our typical fee agreement engagement letter is very short, and it usually touches on three things. Our fee percentage, which I just talked about, the payable and guarantee. Payable and guarantee, again, can very differ among industries and companies and your business model. But aside from the fee percentage, our payables are usually 30 days. I've seen some as short as 10 to 2 weeks, 15 days, all the way to 90 days. Our guarantee is typically a replacement candidate guarantee, which means that if we place someone at a company and for any reason within a specific time frame, that candidate gets let go or gets terminated, then we are obligated to replace that candidate with no additional charge. You can also do a refund guarantee. You can do a hybrid of replacement or refunds. Some companies only want refunds. Others are okay with replacements. Others want a combination of both. And again, the specific time range differs depending on your company. There's no right or wrong answer. We typically follow like the 60-90 day rule. I've seen companies, again, do as low as 30 and others as high as 120, 150 or beyond. Just want to kind of share this with you that we haven't really talked about this a lot, but you know, to engage with the company, it's really pretty simple. Just want the focus to be less on complicating the numbers and, hey, these are our terms, you agree, do they look good? Great. Let's get started and start recruiting for you right away. Oh man, so we have this e-commerce client looking for a product manager, just got the 5th product manager candidate we sent withdraw. And this is 5th in a row. I've never seen this happen before in my life. It is absolutely mind-boggling. Provided that a lot of them withdrew for different reasons, this situation is just crazy, and I don't know what's going on. So been going back and forth on email threads with the hiring manager, and she's like, what is going on? And she's getting, a little bit worried about, am I saying the wrong things? Like, am I selling this opportunity wrong? I, try my best to kind of dive in there and really audit the whole thing. It seems like a lot of people are withdrawing after either her first phone call or the case study immediately afterwards. I provided 2 recommendations. My first thought is like, what exactly are you saying to the candidates? Are you really selling the opportunity well? And the reason why I share this with you is when you interview, whether you're interviewing someone as a recruiter or hiring manager, you're honestly playing the role of a salesperson. Your job is to not only screen the person that you're talking to and determining whether or not they're actually a good fit, they have the right hard skills or soft skills that would be great for the ideal candidate, but your job also is having to sell the opportunity adequately well enough for the candidate so that if he or she walks away from the conversation, they're excited or even more excited about moving forward in the process. A lot of times the focus is so much on the candidate and having to make sure that candidate prepares and sells themselves well enough to the company, but I see it as a two-way street. The company has to make the same effort to sell themselves to the candidate, because at the end of the day, it's a candidate market. Even if it wasn't a talent market, candidates and good candidates will always have options. I've seen so many times where candidates will go to companies that optically look less sexy or exciting because their interview processes and their actual hiring managers conduct themselves in a manner that makes the candidate so much more excited about the whole opportunity, whereas companies that may look and sound amazing, their interview activity is horrible. Like the interviewers don't care, they don't make an effort to connect, they don't make an effort to sell or ask questions. So making sure the candidate has the best experience, but also gets equally excited or can walk away from that conversation more excited than when they initially were when they start talking with you is super important. So the first thing for me is my hiring manager doing that? And the reason why I thought of this is because this is the first time that another person aside from the founder is interviewing as a first screen. The founder is amazing. He's a closer, he's a strong communicator, he can paint the vision really well. And what usually happens is when I send someone to him, they get even more excited to move forward to talk to someone else the second round. The issue here though, and I haven't able to fully determine this yet, candidates don't seem as excited after talking to her. So that's an issue. So I'm working on her with that and trying to audit what she says, if maybe there can be any areas of improvement that she can maybe make more of an effort to make the position or the company more excited. We're working on that. The second issue is, are we giving the case study to our candidates too early? And I'm seeing the same issue with another company. They're amazing. We're able to really get the pipeline full, but every time people get to the case study round, people are dropping off or withdrawing. And another thing that I noticed in my time recruiting is that sometimes it's very dangerous for companies to ask candidates to do a case study, to do extra work in an interview if it's too early in the process. Again, it's a talent market. And so if you're gonna ask talent to do any extra work in an interview process, you wanna make sure that they're willing to do it and it's at the right time. So the reason why I think it could be too early, and again, I've seen this before, is that it seems like maybe the first interviewer isn't as strong, and then we're now asking the candidate to do extra work instead of having extra buy-in. What I want to do with her is see if we can tweak the case study. Can we make it easier? Can we make it shorter? Can we be more considerate for the candidate's time? And number two, can we maybe push it back around? Maybe as a second round, instead of immediately asking candidates to do a case study, let's connect them to the founder, who I know is an amazing closer or communicator. If we're able to do that, then the people who talk to him get more excited, and because they're more excited, they're more bought into the opportunity, and if they're more bought into the opportunity, they're more willing to then do a case study. I don't know, what do you think? Does that make sense? But I've seen it that, typically even before this crazy market, if you're gonna ask a candidate to do an assignment or case study, people will fall off, especially if it's something that takes a long time. So it's very, very important that you ask candidates to do something that doesn't take up that much time, because they will be interviewing for a fact with other companies. They're not gonna ask them to do a case study at all. And if you're gonna ask them to do more work, that can hurt your ranking in the candidate's mind in terms of overall interest. And we don't want that to happen, especially with the companies that we're working with. So again, this shows shows that as a recruiter, our job isn't just to throw candidates to companies. We act as confidants, advisors, consultants, not only to our clients, to our hiring managers, the companies we work with, to further iterate, hone, and perfect the interviews and interviewing process, but also do the same thing with the candidates. Help them with resume, help them with cover letters, help them with interview prep. And then we hopefully are able to do enough work on both sides so that the whole experience is smooth for everyone. I've never seen this many candidates withdraw from a company back to back. And these guys are this is a really cool company, like super profitable, strong brand recognition and strong awareness. Great founders. The founding team has come out of amazing companies like Google, Square, etc. And so we're like, what is going on? And this can't just be merely a coincidence. So as soon as I start seeing a pattern of things that are, in my mind, an anomaly, don't usually happen all the time, I like to dive in, slow down the interview process. Let's kind of dissect everything, inspect everything, and then fix it, make it better, and then restart the pipeline again. So hopefully these will do the trick. After a long day, this is what we're cooking. Cod cooked 2 ways. Oven baked, wrapped in foil. Oven baked exposed with a side of potatoes and veggies. Eat all this up and relax the rest of the night. See you in the morning. Happy Wednesday afternoon. Just wanted to come in here and give you a quick update. So far the week is going as planned. Today is actually a shorter day because I'm about to leave work in a couple hours to run a few errands. But so far we have 3 interviews that happened, all positive. We have 3 more, mainly across software engineering, and product. We have about 8 candidate calls that I just finished the last one today. Going to hit product analysts, product managers, and designers in terms of sourcing before I go. But one thing that I am gonna do today is finally send out invoices. So in terms of payment, when an offer gets accepted, recruiters don't get paid. Agencies don't get paid when the offer gets accepted. We typically get paid once the candidate successfully starts their job. So today is the first day for 2 of our candidates, a software engineer, as well as a growth marketing manager. And so I'm gonna be sending 2 invoices out. Our payable is usually between 15 to 30 days. And within that time frame, we should be expecting a payment, whether physical checks or a wire or electronic payment into our bank account. And so very, very excited about that. And just make sure that you stay on top of your invoice dates and that you send them out. You do not want to forget it, especially after all that hard work that you've done. So gonna be sending those out today, but so far interviews going well, sourcing going well, getting really, really good feedback, and got 2 more jam-packed full days this week. Overall, very pleased with the beginning of October. Just trying to do what I can to start popping more deals. Let's go. Just found out that our product designer is moving forward to the next round for our personal finance startup. She was the one that got rejected from the e-commerce client, and then right when that happened, we picked up a new product designer role with a personal finance company. Immediately, without wasting any time, we pitched her. She expressed strong interest. She was the perfect fit, submitted her, just had her first round today. Amazing success. The company and the hiring manager loved her. Moving for the second round. And another update is one of the first chemical engineers that we sent to our clean energy tech, just to kind of continue this whole reload drama. He thought about it with his wife, he thought about it with his friends. They just finished another chat with the founder, and they concluded that at this point in their life, no amount of money would make sense for their family to move all the way from Colorado to New York, which is a bummer. But I'm not totally bummed out about this because I knew there was a slim chance of making this happen. It sounded like though, despite that, they had a very positive discussion, and they ended the conversation saying, hey, if you're ever gonna make an office, or if you ever are open to reconsider hiring me in Colorado or fully remote, this would be the dream job. So I think there's a possibility something may happen in the future, but I knew it was gonna be a long shot to have him move all the way to New York. I think if he was younger or if he was single, maybe, but he has a wife, he has a kid, he has his whole life. And then here comes Preston coming out of nowhere with this opportunity in New York. It just didn't make sense timing-wise. So either way, great candidate. Not the best news, but also great use of product design. Gonna enjoy my day, and we'll see you in a bit. As you you can see, we're having a little different of a setup here, and sorry for the difference in camera quality. Shooting this from my phone, working out of somewhere different. I stayed overnight at a different place, and now just trying to be as productive as possible. And just wanted to show this to you because one of the biggest reasons why I really gravitate towards working for myself and recruiting is that you really don't need a lot. You really don't need a physical office space. You're allowed the flexibility and the opportunity to be mobile if you want. And for someone like me who loves to travel, who loves to move around and work at different places, it really gives me that freedom, which is very, very appealing. This is all I need. Got my computer, AirPods, obviously got my green tea, don't have my matcha with me, and I'm shooting from my phone, don't have my normal setup, but this honestly does the trick. Whether it's a table, dining room table, couch, whatever, this is all you need. Of course, it's not an office, and I know for some people, they just have to work out of office spaces, they can't work anywhere else. But for me, if you're able to find a quiet room and practice a lot of discipline and focus, you can be productive and disciplined in whatever environment that you want. So right now we're having a very good Thursday. We have about 5 interviews, engineering interviews. We got facilities managers, firmware, software engineers, as well as marketing interviews all happening today. Have also about 10 candidate calls as well. And we're picking up what looks like 2 to potentially 3 new exciting clients and businesses probably next week. Everything from video games all the way to a private jet on demand, which will give you more information a little bit later. But just wanted to show that this was completely unplanned. Had to just change things up a little bit, but still the same work goes in. And I don't need a lot. Just need my phone, need my AirPods, headphones, and a computer and Wi-Fi. And really that's all you need to work by yourself or running a business. Also, if you're working for yourself or even thinking about coming into the recruiting industry or working for yourself as a recruiter, a lot of times there's so much focus and hype on, hey, if you're running your own business, you have to have a big team. You have to scale, you have to have an office, you have to hire tons of people. But that doesn't necessarily mean or should mean success to you. I think it really depends on what's really most important. For me, it's not about having a 50-person team. It's all about how can I do something that I really enjoy, that gives me fulfillment, but most importantly gives me flexibility and freedom to be mobile and allow me to work whether I'm in New York, California, Texas, or even Europe. And recruiting just allowed me to do that over the past 6, almost 7 years now. I was able to operate my business, whether it's from Europe, Asia, or anywhere here in the US, which is an incredible privilege. So you don't have to have a team. You can just work by yourself. There's so many successful recruiters. There's so many successful solopreneurs in other industries. And I just want to emphasize that because success doesn't necessarily mean how much you make or what nice office spaces you have or how big your team is. It's all about, can you do something consistently, sustainably over time that you enjoy, find fulfillment, and gives you flexibility or really addresses other things that are more important for you. Of course, if you can make good money and you end up having great office space, I think that's a huge cherry on top. But just want to show that, you can be wherever you want. And this is one of my favorite reasons why I love being a recruiter. I can talk to amazing people anywhere around the country or around the world. So gonna get back at it, have about 8 more calls, 1 starting in the next couple minutes. We'll get started. I just heard back from our favorite clean tech client, and they told me that they had an amazing interview with one of our propulsion rocket engineers out of California, and they want to move forward to an offer. But when I heard that, as excited as I was, I thought about everything, all the other engineers I had to deal with this past week and last week, and I'm like, oh my God, it's gonna be another headache and difficulty. But I then heard that in that conversation, she told the founder that she was open to relocating. So that got me even more excited. And then I just called her immediately and I just had a chat with her. I reconfirmed that she was interested, not only in the company and the position, but also interested and okay to move. So that's freaking awesome. And I think being a small company, they only have 2 rounds. So I think if they want to move forward, it's going to be an offer. So I told her to research the New York market, research a couple options, couple apartments. And then depending on that, if she needs to recalibrate or adjust her salary ask, she's looking about 140, 150, but this is in California, then we'll make it happen for her. I mean, I told her, hey, if looking at the numbers, if you need 155, 160, the founder will be understanding and we make it happen because this is the first time we can maybe potentially close an engineer because all the engineers they liked before weren't willing to reload or were asking for way too much to make reload happen. and the startup wasn't able to do that. So anyways, she's pumped, not interviewing anywhere else, which is the perfect place to be. So far, bidding war with other competitors is unlikely, which is great. If we can match her salary, they can come out with offers, they can come out with good terms, and of course everything else is great, reload assistance, benefits, then hoping this could be our first deal with this chemical startup. So, feeling good about that, fingers crossed. All right, so we got another situation with one of our innovation technology accelerator hub of a client. So we're working with them for a program director role in New York and Michigan. And the New York role specifically is very, very difficult because they want someone super, super niche with a very specific background. So this person is not only going to be very senior and not only supposed to have great innovation technology background, but because this person will also manage a lot of brands and programs coming out of Latin America, they need someone with Latin American experience, but most importantly, someone that can fluently speak Spanish, which makes the target pool significantly smaller. We did our best, managed to actually find one woman who's absolutely amazing. And she had her first round call with them. They loved her, recommended for her to talk to the head of programs. He talked to her, he loved her, but then he told me, hey, please send us more candidates because if we don't see others, we can't move forward with her. That kind of got me thinking. Like, on one hand, I understand why companies do this because, you know, they want to see like many other options before they make a decision. But on the flip side, because the market is so competitive and just finding one person that has everything what they're looking for is so hard, they need to keep that candidate engaged. And if they like her a lot, they need to keep moving forward with her, because if they start stalling her or slowing things down, she's going to talk to other companies, which she already is, and they're going to swoop her away from our client, and that's not going to be a good situation. So we're doing our best to push back, saying, hey, if you like her, you need to keep her moving forward. We will continue to do our best, but because you're looking for something so specific, we can't just guarantee we'll find amazing candidates and pull them out of a hat like a magician. And that's another thing I want to talk about. When you're good at recruiting, it's very easy for your clients to understand or get used to the pipeline flow. And they just expect that, hey, if Preston can, you know, provide us 5-10 candidates easily, he can do the same thing with any type of position. And that's just not really the case. We work our butts off, we work hard, we prioritize everything. We will do our best to find others, but we're just honestly super speechless that we just found this one person who happened to have it all. And even though they want to see other people, like, we have to have a balance act. Like, yeah, sure, we're gonna keep finding other people, but we're gonna be realistic. Like, the chances of finding someone like her, it's gonna be very difficult. And if we do, it's gonna take a lot more time. And if you're just gonna wait for other people, then you could lose out on this candidate. So I know that this is important for them, this position, and they need to hire this person like yesterday. So I know that timeline is very short. So we will continue to aggressively find someone, but they need to also keep pushing things forward, or else they're gonna lose her. So this is what we're communicating with them. They seem to get it, but we just honestly lucked out with a home run from the get-go, where because of that, their expectations are so high now, they think we can find like 5 more of her, and that's just not gonna happen. I have to be very sensitive and watch my client very closely, because I know that they like her a lot, but they're also talking to a couple other folks and they would love to see more people. It's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because they like your candidate, but it's a curse because you did such a good job in the beginning. They expect you to do and deliver and keep delivering in that caliber of a talent and the speed with all the other candidates moving forward. So see what happens. Happy Friday afternoon, and we are back in our home office. Even though we have the flexibility of working wherever we want to, there's nothing like working out of home, where I have my setup, my extra screen. I even have my own homemade cafe mocha, which really honestly hits a spot. But diving right in, you know I'm all about packing the Friday as much as possible to ensure good momentum the following week, but also to make sure that I can get into the weekend guilt-free and really enjoy it. Too many people, I think, just don't work at all on Friday. They pretend to work or just really release that gas pedal, and then they're kind of guilty, and then over the weekend, and then they have to scramble on Monday morning, kind of get back into it. For me, I like to get in, end the week off strong, enjoy the weekend, and continue the momentum that I created on Friday early next week. So we have a bunch of interviews happening today. We got on-site interviews with a bunch of director of facilities candidates. Depending on how that goes, they're gonna get invited to next round final. As you heard yesterday, we are staying very focused and doing whatever we can to guide this candidate from California, this thermal kind of rocket engineer that is open to finally relocating all the way to New York for this clean energy tech. She is gonna spend the weekend to figure out how much salary she really needs. She's looking for at least 150 plus. She's probably gonna look for a little bit more just to accommodate the higher cost of living in New York City, and depending on how that goes, she's gonna share that information with the founder, and hopefully we can close her. Also just heard this morning that our marketing candidate did really, really well yesterday, and that the hiring manager wants to move forward to an offer. And as exciting as this is, I got a really weird email from the candidate this morning saying, hey, Preston, can you talk sometime today? Even though this could be good news, historically, every time I get an email like that from a candidate, it doesn't always pan out to be good news. In fact, the majority of the time it's bad news. So I'm hoping that he doesn't withdraw, because if he does, that would be awful. Because we have no more candidates in the pipeline for that specific position, the paid social specialist. So I'd be really, really sad. But I emailed him this morning, asking him when he can chat, haven't heard back, so I hope everything's okay, but my gut's telling me this is not good news, so I'm just preparing myself for that. Besides that, have about 10 candidate calls today, which is really pretty good. Gonna actually spend the second half of the day really focusing hard on finance analysts, finance associates, as well as HR analysts and associates. Try to really build that pipeline for next week, as that pipeline is pretty surprisingly low considering my big sourcing pushes last week and early this week. Other than that, just gonna try to scramble and see how all the other interviews have gone. A lot of the candidates are moving forward, and yeah, it's just good to be back home, and I'm ready to focus for the next probably 4 or 5 hours in finishing these candidate calls, sourcing my butt off, and hopefully get good news from this candidate. So fingers crossed. Hope you all enjoyed this video so far and having a good week. See you soon. First and foremost, but like, how'd it go yesterday?
It went really well. I think that like the rapport that I have with really the entire team, what was good.
Amazing, amazing. Did you get a chance to meet any members of the team, or?
So virtually, yes. So I mean, spoke with Lola, spoke with everyone, which was really good. They're going forward to the reference checks.
Oh, wow.
The reason I wanted to reach out to you was just to kind of like check in to see where you thought vaguely they were like budgeting for salary, just because it's, I want to make sure that, you know, most places usually do like the offer kind of first before the reference checks, which...
You're kind of looking for 90 or higher, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I know that that's aligned, and so we're hoping that if an offer comes out, it's aligned with what you're looking for, but if for any reason you want to see if we can push back or tweak it, like, we can make that happen for you. But I know that, yes, like 90 or higher, that's definitely kind of aligned with what they're looking for. They do also offer bonus and significant equity as well, and tons of room for growth. So obviously the whole package is going to be well beyond that.
Awesome. No, I definitely appreciate that. So then that's aligned.
Okay, so, not as bad as I thought. He did not withdraw. He did not have any like real large concerns. The only thing here comes back to the salary. I know that with our hiring manager at our company, he's really targeting 85. And that seems to be kind of a cap for him. And my candidate, even though 85 would be okay, he's ideally looking for a number with a 9. So 90 would make him feel great across the board. Closing should be relatively easy and smooth. If the offer happened and it came out at 85, it's not the end of the world. He'd have to do a lot more number crunching, and he's gonna have to think about it more. And that's always dangerous. The more Ken has to think about, the more objections or concerns they can think, and it makes the closing more difficult. But I know that everything else looks great. He's not interviewing anywhere else. He actually has something in common with the hiring manager. They both worked at the same company, so they have mutual friends and coworkers. So everything is looking great. He also just sounded super positive. So we're, again, only talking about a 5K delta, which at the end of the day is not that big of a deal. It's not a huge amount. I know that the hiring manager really likes him, so I think, you know, we can kind of make something here happen. Fingers crossed, if references go well, we can expect potentially another offer next week. Unfortunately, it's not gonna happen this week, but I will do what I can to guide this and just watch this very, very carefully. And if there's any other way I can help, I will do whatever I can. But man, I just feel so much better. And now I can focus on finishing my last 5 calls of the day, source for probably for another couple more hours, and we'll end the week. Hello again. It is that time to wrap up yet again another behind the scenes week in life video of what I do every single week as a recruiter at my recruiting industry. I really hope that this week was engaging, interesting, and just fun to watch. And I was able to show a little bit of some of my favorite reasons why I work as a recruiter for myself. It gives me the flexibility to work wherever I want, whenever I want. But as I shown just earlier today, nothing feels like home than working out of your home office and base with your own favorite setup. But all in all, just as a wrap up for this week, we had a lot of great interviews done. I'm feeling really proud, kicking off October with a bang. Although we do not have any offers to report for this week, I am feeling very confident with the possibility of an offer for our paid social specialist next week, as well as potentially our first rocket thermal engineer next week as well. Aside from that, we've done an incredible job really packing and building the pipelines for product analysts, HR managers, product designers, and even product managers. Going into next week, the focus will now switch back on program managers, as well as software engineers, and any other positions that need help in terms of pipeline. Also, we have the opportunity of potentially onboarding not one, not two, but 3 different clients on top of everything else that we're managing right now. As much as I love to bring on new business, it is extremely stressful, but at the same time, very exciting. So it's really up to me to stay on top of my management, time organizational skills, and really also audit my mental health and sanity so that I can still produce and work at my peak performance every single week. But as you saw, it is almost 4 o'clock. I'm feeling really good, but coming into this weekend, I am ready to rest again and have a good time, waiting for next week and the finishing off the rest of the month really well. Hope you really enjoyed watching this. I really enjoy making these, really want to do whatever I can to show you just what we do behind the scenes. Recruiting industry as a whole is a massive industry, and while I am very active in the technology industry, there are recruiters in every sector and industry imaginable. If you have any additional questions about certain aspects of recruiting, let me know. If you're also a recruiter or you have your own recruiting agency and you want to partner with us, reach out. Don't forget to also check out our live job boards that show you all the open positions we're recruiting for in real time at the description box below. We are actively recruiting across all positions for marketing, engineering, product, data, ops, HR, and more. And we'll be updating it over the course of the weekend as well. And if you want to finish off October and finish off Q4 with tremendous momentum, please consider liking, subscribing, clicking that bell. Really means a lot and really gives all of us the energy to keep working at peak performance and crush our goals. Also helps us a lot with the YouTube algorithm. But guys, wishing you a great Friday. Hope you had a great week. If you also hit your goals, comment down below. We'd love to hear about what you've done really well. Let's recharge, relax over the weekend, and we'll see you on next week.